Welcome back to Brick by Brick Designs, where I show you how to build practical items for your home using Lego. In my previous video showcasing the circular platform I built for my turntable, I said I had used the parts from the Black Panther bust set from 2022. After building that, I still had all these arch pieces left over. I was messing around trying to figure out how I could use them when I stumbled upon this configuration that makes a pattern of circular holes. After building it out into a wall with 18 holes, I realized I could add little platforms behind the holes so I could display minifigures on them. I built out a box behind the wall and filled the platforms with Disney minifigures. This is the version of the design you've seen featured in my other videos before. However, when I was adding Doctor Strange, I had the idea to add his orange portal, which is just 4 curved tiles that form an 8x8 circle. And I realized it fit perfectly in the hole. This gave me an idea which would revolutionize this design. What if I built little 8x8 circular pods for the figures to go in? That way I could customize the backgrounds and even build little scenes in each one, and easily switch them out whenever I want. I settled on this basic design for the base pod. A black 8x8 round plate with 4 trans-clear round panels capped off with black tiles, and some boat stud pieces on the bottom to make it easier to slot into the holes. Then I had to decide how to hold the figures in place. Since the pod will be on its side, there won't be a flat ground with any studs for them to stand on. My first solution was to add one of these collar pieces on the neck, with a trans-clear flagpole piece attaching that to the back wall. This method let me build a lot of cool scenes. For Captain America, I built his shield pattern in the background. I used it for Thanos to have the Infinity Stones floating around him. I also used it in a different way for Coco, with a lot of characters squeezed into one scene. It works pretty well for those situations, but it still has a few problems. For instance, I'm not a huge fan of how it makes the figure's neck longer. It kind of ruins their proportions. Also, though the part comes in multiple colors, sometimes there isn't one that matches a certain figure and it sticks out. The biggest problem though is that some figures have capes or hair or any other accessory that blocks that area so you can't use this technique. That's why I had to come up with a new idea. Here was my final, more universal solution. I used this bracket piece that's unusual but not that hard to come by, along with a tile, another bracket, and a boat stud to hold everything together, to make a sort of arm that attaches to the back wall. I did have to make that wall thicker with these 2 round plates to make room for the round panels to come on and off. But after that, the studs on the bracket attach to the back of the figure's legs, which is a much more universally available spot on most minifigs. With that, I now had 2 techniques I could use to display basically any figure I wanted in my pods, so I got to work redesigning the display case. First, I went back to just the front wall. It was a pretty simple build except for some snot bricks I added on the back outer edges, which will connect to the side walls. I replaced the minifig platforms with tiles for the pods to slide in on, and added brackets above each hole for them to clip onto to stay in more securely. I also added brackets between the holes that will connect to the back wall to give the whole structure more strength. Next, I added the side walls, which were built sideways to add more vertical reinforcement. For the floor, I just used plates, but I added these brackets which will attach to the back wall and some tiles to fill in the gaps between them. Now it's finally time to build the back wall. I used black on the visible side and around the edges, but the inside was made with whatever other colors I had. I used all plates in the largest sizes possible for strength, while leaving 2 large gaps to let me access any wiring for lighting, and a small gap at the bottom for a power cord. I also added 2 of these wall mounting parts from the art sets, which you could use to hang the whole case from nails. I tiled off the back, again with rainbow in the middle, and built panels to fill in the gaps. Next, since I don't want to put too many holes in my walls, I added these 2 large tiles to the back, which will let me add command strips and hang the display without damaging my walls. I know it seems a little precarious, but I've had mine hanging like this for a week and it hasn't shown any signs of falling. Just make sure to wipe down the tiles and your walls before sticking on the strips, and also make sure you're using this kind of tiles, the ones covered in connection points on the bottom, and not this old kind with the gap in the middle. To finish the back wall, I added some brackets which will connect to the ceiling, and then attached it onto the case. Finally, I built the ceiling out of some plates and tiles, and added it on top. And with that, the design is finished, and now it's time to build it for real. now that the case is finished, what am I going to fill it with? Well, the old case was full of Disney figures, which I don't really feel that great about as a theme. At first, I thought about Marvel characters. I put that display together, and even used trans orange tiles to have them all coming out of portals like Endgame. This was great, but it still wasn't something I personally wanted to keep on my wall. That's when I had the idea that would change this project forever. My wife and I have been watching and rewatching Doctor Who recently, and we both really love the show. What if I filled the display with Doctor Who characters? I remembered LEGO had 1 or 2 Doctor Who sets back in 2015, but they're long since retired and would be way too expensive to buy secondhand now. I also remembered seeing third-party companies online who make figures of popular movies and TV shows though, and I went looking for which ones had the best Doctor Who figures. I landed on minifigs.me. They have so many characters available, and I felt their designs and printing were by far the best out of all the options. I ordered figures of the 6 most recent Doctors: David Tennant, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, Jodie Whittaker, David Tennant again, and Ncuti Gatwa, along with my 4 favorite companions: Captain Jack Harkness, Donna Noble, Amy Pond, and Rory the Roman. I also built 4 more custom characters of my own: 2 Daleks, a custom Weeping Angel I'm actually super proud of, and even a mini TARDIS. I arranged those 14 characters in the display, and then built these sci-fi looking plug things for the corners, which remind me of the inside of the TARDIS. This arrangement looked great, but I still felt like something was missing. What is a doctor without a sonic screwdriver? I ordered these custom parts from Big Kid Bricks, another website, and gave each doctor their own custom sonic, except for Ncuti, whose sonic is so different I had to build it myself. After that, I thought it would be really cool to see all the sonic screwdrivers lit up, so I ordered these tiny LEDs from lightmybricks.com. In order to light up the screwdrivers, I did unfortunately have to drill a tiny hole in the side, although these are third-party pieces, so I feel like it's a bit of a gray area. I then wind the wire under the armpit and out the convenient hole in the back of the pod. Now this is where it gets a little more tricky. I snaked a series of cables and expansion boards through the inside of the case, which all go to a USB extension cable that then leads out the hole in the back. After I insert a pod in the front, I can open the panels on the back to plug its wire into one of the expansion boards. Now, with all the doctors wired up, I can plug in the cable and witness the magic. This was such a fun video to make, so I want to thank you all for making it possible. Next video, get ready for a little bit of Halloween magic. I'll see you there, next time on Brick by Brick Designs.